Hey everybody, welcome to day 2. We're just going to let the room fill up a little bit here.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. How did we all find yesterday? A lot of information, too much information, or just enough?
Yeah, just good enough to plant the decor. I found.
Excellent. Just give me 1 second here. It says I've lost my network connection. Okay. All right. I'll give it a few more minutes just for anybody else joining. I do think today is going to be a little quieter in terms of the live attendees. We've had about 150 towards 200 over the last 24 hours, which is fantastic. I think based on American Thanksgiving today, a lot of the people in the US will be cooking, lack of a better way to put that, making some pretty delicious food that I'm very jealous of. So yeah, it sounds like they're having a fantastic day, or they will be having a fantastic day pretty soon. And yeah, I'm sure they'll be catching the recording. I've had multiple requests for the recording. But if you are in the US, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully it is a wonderful time. But yesterday, without further ado, we'll just dive straight into the workshop today. So this is day 2. This is the follow-on from what we did yesterday. And I'll recap it a little bit just to give you a quick refresh, just 30 seconds, top level. And then we're going to dive straight into the meat and potatoes of today's training. And this is probably going to be something that changes your perspective on things a little bit and just shows you what a business that can do 7 figures per year actually looks like, the level of that business, what the systems behind that look like as well. Now, do remember on these sessions, I am going to be on a different tab than you are. I'm going to be on the tab of the presentation. So if you have any questions, instead of posting them in the chat, because I can't see that, just unmute yourself and speak over me. That's perfectly fine. I'll answer the question right when you have it, just so it's top of mind and we just take care of it right there and then. So let's dive in. And I may go silent for a few seconds because I'll be going back and forth to let people in, because we get people joining throughout this session yesterday. So and again, I don't know if you can hear that notification, but I'm getting them all the time here of people hopping in the room. So I may be back and forth, just letting people in. So excuse me if that does. 1 second here, someone else wants to hop in. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. Everyone can see my screen. You can see the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
If someone just you can. Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
We can see your screen.
Excellent. Okay, because the one on my screen is a little bit squashed together. I think it might be because it is in presentation mode. So let's dive in. So this is day 2 of the recurring revenue activation workshop. Yesterday, we opened the door to a completely different world.
We can see. Yeah, now it's fine. Now it's fine.
Now it's okay? Okay, right. So what I'm going to have to do, I don't know what's going on with this presentation. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to change the slide, then come back to the Google Meet. So it might appear a little bit squashed for 10 seconds, and I'll fix that as I go back over. So yesterday, we opened up the door to a completely different world, a world where freedom isn't something that you hope for. It's something that you build and you actually create. So we broke down one core truth. Freedom doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from income. It comes from control over your time, your decisions, your environment, and how much life gets to touch you, right? How much it hits you, how much it impacts you. All these political issues we see globally. I'm currently in Scotland, so the political stuff that happened yesterday with budgets and things, a lot of people complaining, this, that, and the next thing. All the stuff that goes on in the US, through Canada, everywhere right now, and of course all across Europe, because I know Olivia has told me as well, there are problems in the Netherlands, everywhere, right? We can limit how much that actually impacts us. We can actually put a stop to it. We can step out of that cycle and not let it touch us. So day 1 was all about expanding your awareness, stepping outside what I call the hit zone, where it can actually impact us. The hit zone of rising costs, economic chaos, global turmoil, taxes, inflation, mortgages, the works, all that sort of stuff. And stepping into a world where none of it personally matters anymore because you've built something that places you above it, right? We're not going to be amongst it. We're going to be actually ascending above these problems. Now, we spoke about escape velocity yesterday. And escape velocity is that moment where you stop getting hit by the world, right? You're actually outside of the cycle. And you start being able to step out. You can disappear for 2 months. You can pick sunshine over stress. You can choose peace or panic. And you can raise your income whenever you want to. That's the most important thing, right? It's being able to actually increase your income as a choice. It's something that you can do whenever you want to. We also spoke about building a digital business the same way that 135-year-old legacy companies built empires. I gave an example of a factory that I grew up beside, and how it was worth 100. It's been around for 135 years, and is worth about 200 million, I think it is. And I personally met with the guy and everything, and learned lessons from that. So we spoke about these legacy style businesses, the businesses that have been around for hundreds of, over a century. We also spoke about building machines run, whether you are in the room, whether you're working, whether you're physically working or not. We spoke about becoming digital landlords, basically owning assets that businesses have to rent from us, right? Now, we're not necessarily speaking about websites and things like that. What we're talking about are assets. We spoke about how, as a crazy example, probably one that has never been used in this industry before, but offshore engineering companies, right? They get paid £60 million or $100 million for people just to rent the ship from them to do some work on some underwater pipelines. Crazy, right? Crazy amounts of money. They own the asset. That's why these companies do hundreds and hundreds of millions. They own the asset. And that's what we can do. We're going to be owning the asset, owning the systems, owning the processes, which allow you to continually be paid over time and without you actually having to be there, right? We don't want you in the system running it. We want the system running like a factory that you own. And of course, finally, a diversified machine that feeds you profit from multiple different angles. We want to be diversified. If you're diversified, it doesn't matter which way the economy goes. Things can boom. Like, think about, we spoke briefly about 2020 during the global shutdowns, right? People who are 100% in the hospitality industry, like, working with restaurants, cafes, bars, etc., they struggled massively because they all shut down. Whereas if you're diversified, it doesn't impact you. Yes, that one side of the business can take a hit, but you've got enough eggs in other baskets where it doesn't actually touch you. And most importantly, we opened up your eyes to why most people never reach this level. They build the wrong things. They stay addicted to short-term dopamine. They keep reinventing their offer. They never build systems, and they end up with a job instead of a business. But you saw the alternative yesterday. You saw the factory. You saw how we can build a moat around our business. You saw the automation portfolios. You saw the diversified engine that creates that freedom in reality. You saw how we would build that into a legacy style business. So most people struggle with it massively in this online space because they build the wrong things. They go for the fast money machines, promise them the world, but never really deliver anything to them. And it got me thinking, like I said yesterday, why are we building businesses like this? Why are we not building businesses that operate like these companies that are 100 years old? Why are we not doing that? It's crazy, right? It's crazy to think this entire industry, all the proof in the world is right in front of our eyes, but we ignore it. We just try to run a quick cash machine, which might serve you for 2 months, but then 2 years later, you're doing something completely different. I want this to be paying you for the next 10 years. And I told you yesterday, the day changes everything. Because day one was the reason why we do things. Today, we're going to be diving into the how behind how we do, or what we do, how we do it, how we achieve this. This is where you see the engine behind the engine. So actually what it all looks like, what it takes to reach that level, the infrastructure. When we talk about working and acting like these hyper successful companies, what does it look like? How do we build a system that actually reflects that? Because the secret in their business is how they operate. We're going to be looking at the automation depth and the layers that nobody ever speaks about in this industry. The fulfillment structures where businesses pay you $1,000 to $3,000 per month without blinking. And I'm serious about that. Having that $1,000 to $3,000 invoice just getting paid, and they don't even notice it in a good way. The diversification framework that lets you operate across multiple niches at once, and not just one or two. I'm talking over 24 different niches operating at the same time without you having to worry about it, without you having to do anything. Being able to tap into these markets, all the different markets in the world, all of them, all of the opportunity out there. How you can actually tap into that without having to, number one, stick religiously to one particular market, but also become overwhelmed, right? Because every market's different. How can we take advantage of that demand, of that opportunity, without having an impact on our work? How do we turn it into a positive for us? Because the opportunity is there, you just have to know how to leverage it. And finally, the core operating system that turns your business into a factory, not a freelancing job. We don't want to be working. We don't want to be spending our hours and hours and hours at a desk. We don't want to be building things all the time. We don't want to be responding to messages all the time. We want it to be like a machine, right? I spoke yesterday about the factory with the Rolls Royce sitting outside of it. The owner's not in the factory. He's not running the machinery. We want to build a business that replicates this, not your time. Your time is not the asset. The business, the system, the framework, that is the asset. You just enable it. So day two is not about information. It's more about behind the scenes. It's revelation. It's the moment where everything you felt yesterday starts to become tangible. There was a lot of excitement yesterday. A lot of people gave me fantastic feedback about what they saw. And this is where we're going to make it tangible. We're going to add some tangibility to it. It's going to be something you can execute on, and it's going to make everything very, very real for you as well. So yesterday you understood the opportunity. Today you see the infrastructure that makes it all work. You understood the vision yesterday, and today you're going to see the machine that brings this vision to life. And I'm going to warn you, for most people, this is the moment where the penny starts to drop, right? They start to think outside the box. They start to see things a little differently. They start to see what I actually see in this industry. It's when things start to click for you on a different level. You might have thought this is a good idea, that's a good idea, but the level I'm going to show you today, the depth I'm going to show you, is going to open your eyes to it. And you're going to see just how big this opportunity actually is. So settle in, because by the end of today's session, you will know exactly why the average agency will never, ever, ever be able to compete with what you're about to build, and why you're perfectly positioned, and I mean perfectly positioned, to dominate the entire market in 2026. So let's get into day two, which is the systems vault. This is where everything becomes real. So the reality is, these legacy businesses are built on existing demand. They're not reinventing the wheel. The fastest growing companies are the ones that solve an essential problem where the business doesn't actually feel the pain of paying them. Think about Stripe, the payment platform, right? If you want to take payments, and this works for Square, works for PayPal, every one of them. If you want to take payments, you sign up. When you get paid, they take their fee every single time. They never miss, trust me, they never miss that. You cannot get paid yourself digitally without having a payment processor. So you already need this service. If you want to take money, you already need this service, but you don't even notice their payment. You hardly see it because it's a percentage of what you receive. This positioning allows a company like Stripe to skyrocket in value. Really, really skyrocket. It grew so quickly. Think about automation platforms like N8N. They have grown incredibly quickly. Did you know they were founded back in 2019? And now, what's that, 6 years? 6 years. They're worth $2.5 billion in 6 years. Why is that? It's because they slot into the automation framework. They fulfill tasks that the businesses are already doing. They already need to do them, and they do it with automation, right? That's the only difference. They simply take the processes, the systems, the frameworks the business is already using and add automation to it to make it easier. They make things faster. They make it easier. They make it more profitable, all through automation. They aren't providing something new. This is not some, N8N are not providing some shiny new thing. It's simply taking the existing things and making them better. That's it. That's all they do. They put things together. That's it. But then you start to compare the price of doing this. It's usually between about 100, for a meaningful plan, not like the starter plan, but the meaningful one that everybody ends up on. It's about $100 per month, and the business plan's about $700 or so per month, give or take. You compare that price to the price of an assistant that it can replace, which is $25,000 a year. So it's basically about maybe less than about 5% or so on average, about 5% of the cost of what the alternative is. So it makes it a complete no-brainer. They make it faster, better, easier, and it's 1/20th of the price that the alternative is. And of course, that doesn't count for sick days, slow work, not feeling good, or you're not working to the full capacity, holidays, the works. It doesn't count for any of that. They just make it better, faster, cheaper. That's it. That's all they did. It helps businesses make more money from what they already think about that. It helps them make more money from what they already have. They're already doing the stuff. It just makes it more profitable for them. But where have we heard that little sentence before, right? Help more businesses make more money from what they already have. It's something we did yesterday, right? It's something we did yesterday. Our entire framework, when it comes to economic recession, is that businesses cannot and will not spend more aggressively. Even though they need to, they will not do it during times of economic downturn. So this means they want to make more money, but minimizing the risk when things are slightly more challenging, let's say, right? When things are more difficult. So the whole concept behind these businesses, if you even look at Stripe, they help businesses make more money using what they already have. They can take more payments. They can use subscription payments to make more money. They can send invoices that recur yearly and things like that. N8N, they also help businesses, and also Stripe is cheaper than setting up yourself, so it saves them money too. but it opens the door to more opportunities for them, right? Different currencies. N8N simplifies processes. It helps a business make more money because they have more time. Less money spent on team, staff, increases their profit. Look at the pattern, right? Better, faster, easier makes them more money without the risk from what they already have. Not new stuff, simply with what they already have. So what do we do with this? We need to model two aspects here. Just go to the next slide. We need to model two different aspects. First, we need to consider the businesses that are 135 years old, the legacy businesses that I mentioned yesterday. We've got to look at how they operate. They operate like a machine. Then we take the models from the fastest growing companies in the online space, Stripe, N8N. So we're combining these two together here, okay? We're looking at this 135-year legacy model and hypergrowth models. And then we're combining them together. So we take these models, combine them, and then you ask yourself a question. If you had a business that just replicated the most successful companies, that's all it did, took the most successful companies out there, replicated what they do, and I'm talking like crazy successful. I'm not talking about replicating something at 10K per month. I'm talking replicating the businesses that really, really, really work, crazy successful. If you replicated those businesses, do you think you could make 500K per year or maybe $1 million per year? Do you think you could? That's something like 0.01% of their average. We just replicate the system. That's all we have to do. And this is the difference in what we do. We need to ignore the online world, and nobody else will tell you this. We need to ignore the online world and learn from these two types of businesses. Those who have been around for 135 years and are still operating, still booming, and those who have grown extremely quickly to crazy levels in such a short space of time. Success leaves clues for us here. We can actually learn from both of these. Now, if we combine them together, you've got that winning recipe. Now, I'm not telling you to build the next Amazon, right? We're not talking about $1 billion, all that sort. No, that's not what I'm saying here. What I'm simply saying is that success leaves clues. These levels of success, they're public. They're everywhere, right? You can walk down the street, you'll see big businesses. Wait 1 sec here to let people in. You will see big businesses. We can learn so much from these big businesses that nobody else ever actually learns. We can take the lessons these companies leave behind and use them to our advantage, knowing that they're heavily proven. So we want to build a machine. That's the secret behind this. We need to build a system that delivers over and over and over again, but not just delivers something, but something that truly delivers. What I mean by that is there's a difference between saying we will run Facebook advertising for you, and technically you run Facebook advertising for them, right? You set up the ads, you build the creative, you do the copy, but you know deep down, and this might sting a little bit because when I've mentioned it before to people, it kind of stings, but we've got to get past that. So you run Facebook advertising for someone. You know deep down that their expectations are different to what your expectations are. You're basically saying, I will run Facebook advertising for you. You set up the campaigns, creative copy, but the business owner, what they hear is you will run Facebook advertising for them as the expert where it will work. They're expecting sales out of that. You know deep down they are, but on the surface, you're basically just saying, we'll just set it up. That's it. So what does that create? They're going to buy from you because They have their expectations set. You know, they believe that's what we're going to be doing. You are careful with your words. You set up the ad campaigns. That's what's in the agreement. It lasts 2 months. The cycle repeats itself. It's very, very difficult to build a business if your retention rate is 2-3 months. Very, very, very hard. But that's because nobody has ever taught you to focus on truly, truly delivering. We need to build a system that delivers over and over and over again. If we can get into a position where we actively make a business more money from what they already have, we become an essential component, right? Think about, I've spoken about this before, coffee cups, right? Technically, a business who sells coffee cups makes a coffee shop more money because they can charge higher prices because they're not pouring the coffee in people's hands, right? They're putting it in a cup. And of course, they can't really sell the coffee at all without the cup. So it enables them to make more money. So they have to keep buying these. They're an essential component. So what we're doing is we're becoming the essential component. Yesterday, I gave you the example of the shipping labels and such. It's the same philosophy behind this. We build systems that allow us to become the essential component in their business. We actively make a business more money from what they already have. And that's a very, very important sentence. And I want you to pay close attention to that. From what they already have. There's a reason I'm focusing on this sentence. And the reason is actually psychological. People don't like change. They do not want to do something different. A business owner who is busy does not want to do something different. They don't necessarily want new all the time because new comes with risk. If they can make more money from what they currently have, from what they know, there's no unknown to it, from what they know, they will happily do that because it makes more profit for them. So we're working with these businesses with the strategy that you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to change your behavior. You don't need to do anything. You just keep doing what you do, and we will make more money for you out of that. It's music to their ears, right? Because you're removing all of the risk for them. So not only are we making things easier and more automated with our digital factory, just like N8N does, but we're also making a business more money without the expense and the risk. It creates this perfect storm. It's faster, it's stronger, it's better, it's easier, and on top of all of that, we increase their profit. It's a perfect storm. So we need this system. If we're going to go down this path, we need this system to work, but to really work. Now, you may have been in a position before. Maybe let's look at the SEO example. And you've sold SEO to a business and you aren't too sure if you can deliver. Just like the Facebook ads example, right? You can set up the system, but are you really confident in delivering what you know, deep down you know, that business owner expects? Is that maybe something that was holding you back for a long time? Where you're promising to set up the campaigns in your world, but you know deep down, you know what that business owner really expects from it. Do you think that stops you accelerating? Do you think deep down subconsciously you will not progress because you know there's uncertainty about your delivery? Of course. Of course. We've all been there because it's something that's a moving part, because we don't control it, right? Algorithms change. You do not have complete control, and that's perfectly fine. Then you feel like you've let the client down and it starts to eat away at you. We can't build a business on this shaky foundation. We need to build a powerhouse where the foundation is extremely high quality. I mean, how good would you feel when a customer comes to you, they pay you money, and you're going to deliver something that will blow their mind and completely transform their business? Would it feel pretty good? The issue is, when I show you what a system like this looks like, at this level, at face value, it might seem fast and easy, right? But when you start to see under the hood of this system, of what it really, really takes to deliver consistently over and over and over again like a machine, it's going to shock you. And you've got to be prepared for that, because I'm going to show you. We need to install a system into a business that makes them more money from what they are already doing without changing the behavior. And just like I was saying briefly, why do I do this? Because I don't need to change behavior. That's the key. I don't need to get them doing something differently. They don't change anything, which completely removes the friction. For example, if we ask them to implement SEO, this is changing behavior. They have to start doing a lot of things or paying a lot of things that they never did before. They start to have to deal with a lot of problems that they didn't have to deal with before. Psychologically, people don't like this change. It's quite scary for them. Whereas by installing profit printing automation, they essentially rent from us. It just fits in like a jigsaw puzzle, right? We just fit in there. They don't even notice. They can't even see it. They don't change any of their behavior. They literally do not do anything differently at all. They do not know the difference whether we're there or we're not there until they look at their profit. That's when they notice the difference. Frictionless. And it's a beautiful, beautiful position for us to be in. So they don't do anything. All of a sudden, the revenue just increases pretty much immediately. Then, in comparison, just like Stripe, just like N8N, your fee is tiny in comparison. And I'll show you what I mean by this. Think about N8N as well. They aren't changing behavior. And the reason I'm anchoring back to this is because if a company has grown to $2.5 billion in 6 years, we can learn something. If we have not done that yet, if we're only at 1 billion, we can still learn something, right? So I'm pretty confident we can all learn something from them. All they do is they just make something the business already does easier for them, and their fee is tiny in comparison. In our scenario, the business is already dealing with customers. They already have customers, and they've had customers for years. Nothing changes. We just make sure they already have stronger. We just make what they already have stronger, achieving the ultimate goal of making them more money without the expense of marketing. We just have a tiny fee. And remember yesterday when I said in economic downturns, businesses have two choices. They either shut down or they make more money without the risk. SEO is risk. Paid advertising is risk. Those companies that offer that specifically and only will start to struggle as a result, because most businesses will not want to take the risk. They want more predictable, proven methods of getting the cash flow cycle faster. They want to be paid back much faster when things are tighter economically, right? When the economy shifts. But look what we're doing. We're making them more money without the risk. So when we see the economy shift, and this is something that I've done for the last 10 years, and honestly, it's something I've done very, very well. When that economy shifts, we have to move with it, right? Too many people try to do the same thing over and over and over again. We need to move with it. We need to go where the current is pushing you. There's no point fighting against it. We just have to go exactly where it pushes us and take advantage of it, because there's always opportunity. And what we do lines up perfectly. Now, what I'm going to show you is going to appear very, very simple to begin with, right? It's going to appear very, very simple. This is an example that I've shown similar before. This is an example of a system, an automated system, and it works all together like a machine. Now, I'm going to show you what's underneath something like this, And something like this that actually works, not just does what it says on the box, which is it will set up automations, but something that actually moves the needle, gets the business owner the results that we know they're looking for, which then gets you paid month after month after month. We install this complete system. This turns into a powerhouse, and it delivers like that machine. You've got database reactivation, so essentially reactivating cold leads, nurture, follow-up. Then you've got automatic reviews. If a business doesn't have fresh, more recent reviews, and if it doesn't have enough of them, give me 1 second, I'm just letting people in here. If it doesn't have enough of them, it's going to struggle. The local visibility is going to decrease as a result of it. Also, customers trust it a lot less. Think about, have you ever been looking for a hotel, right? And you were scrolling the listings on Google or booking.com or whatever it is, and you see these hotels ranked 4.5 out of 5 stars. You think, that looks great. Why is it so low cost? Looks fantastic. Then you go into it and you start to see that all the reviews were from 2 years ago. And then if you look at the most recent reviews, there's far less of them, but they're not good. You don't book that hotel as a result. Or if you look at the plumber who hasn't had reviews in 2 years, you question if they're open. I do, that's for sure. I've done it with electricians. I question if they're actually open anymore. I did it just the other week, and honestly, I had to take a big risk when I was getting a haircut, right? The place didn't have a review for like 18 months, and I was terrified. But it worked out okay, but I was certainly, do I go, do I not go? If they don't have those recent reviews, it's going to hurt them. What's that, Olivia? There are also criteria.
Yeah, it's also criteria for AI SEO.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
It boosts the reputation, the authority of the business, and therefore it's picked up by AI.
Yeah, exactly. And that's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's even more important than ever. Then you've got the referral engine as well. Now, the referral engine is a way where we can drive new business for our company without having to spend on SEO, without having to spend on paid advertising. We can get them customers they essentially don't have to pay for. Now, there's a reason this is in there. Not only, and I'm going to show you as we progress today, not only does it make a difference financially, but there's a reason that we do this. The reason is this makes them more money for what they already have. This makes them more money because it converts more new customers. This, we'll come on to, makes them more money from traffic and demand they already have. But there's always going to be that question, well, what about new customers? How do I get them? Solves the problem, answers the question for us, right? We can essentially turn every customer into 0.5 new people in referrals. So basically, for round numbers, every 2 people that pay the business, on average, will refer 1 person. What does this do? This increases their customer base over the course of a month by 50% without having to spend money on marketing. So we're making them more money. We're converting more of the customers. We're getting them new customers. This becomes a machine that works over and over and over and over again. And it's incredible what actually happens. But this looks simple, right? Looks very, very simple on the outset. Wait till I show you inside something like this and give you an example. But the secret behind this system is the combination. When you build it to the level that I'm about to show you, the return on investment for this business, it's not, Charles, it's not simple. If you're watching the recording, you might not be able to see the chat. Charles just said it's not simple, lol, which I do agree with. But it looks simple from this image, at least. But the combination is where the power happens. That's where we get that outcome. When I say we have to really deliver results, the combination is what does this. Everyone else will try and do this or that or that. This is what truly, truly delivers the results. And it puts you in a position where you can be extremely confident in your fulfillment, in your delivery. Because like I say, we all know deep down what the client expectations are. We know what they are, right? They want to make more money. They're not just having an AI employee because it's nice to have someone answering the phone. No, they want to make more money with it. We know that deep down. So instead of avoiding that issue, instead of hiding from it, let's attack it. Let's install a system that actually does that. And I'll show you how it does it. Now, let's look at a numbers example first. You'll see the power behind this. This one is for pool builders, so people who install swimming pools. Now, a typical in-ground pool costs anywhere from $50,000 to $90,000, depending on the area, obviously demand and such. Now, the average profit a pool builder keeps after their labor, after the materials, is around 12 to 20,000, right? That's what they keep, about 20% or so. So for this example, we'll stay conservative and we'll use $15,000 per profit per pool. Now, here's the important part. Every pool builder has a massive database because everybody wants a pool, right? That's the reality. As soon as it gets super warm, everybody wants a swimming pool. Everybody's inquiring. Now, of course, not everyone's going to convert. Not everyone can afford it. That's okay. But they're all inquiring. So this means they have large databases of customers who don't convert. They also have large databases of customers who requested quotes, had the person come out to inspect the property, look at the land, things like that, and disappear. There's lots and lots and lots of them over the years. So this is actually a very conservative list size, but we'll use it as an average. They also go to home shows. They have seasonal inquiries as well. They have old quotes, people who got pricing but didn't buy, tons of them. So it's completely normal for a pool builder to have 1,000 to 3,000 cold leads just sitting there doing nothing. So let's say they've got 1,800 in their system. Here's what happens when we switch our system on. We reactivate just 2% of them, right? 2%. Tiny, tiny, tiny number. And that doesn't mean we're closing 2%. We're just getting 2% of the 1,800 people who were previously interested again. We're just hooking them back in. Very conservative number, could be even higher. So what does that mean? That's 36 homeowners who were previously interested, now interested once again. 36 of them. Now let's say we close, or the pool builder closes just 15% of them. 15%, hardly any of them, right? And that's because it could be financing issues, it could just be the ghost or they disappear or whatever. The land isn't appropriate, suitable, not enough space, the cost is higher than they expected. Fine, whatever. 15%. That closes 5 pools out of the 36, which was only 2%. 5 new pools installed. That 5 produces 75,000 in base profit, not revenue, profit for them. Ridiculous number. All we did was step 1 here. Now, that's a huge number, a huge number. But then what happens is the nurture system and the AI employee picks up warm conversations down here, picks up warm conversations and pulls in 1 extra sale, just 1 out of these, just 1 extra sale. Then the referral engine activates, and every pool that they install usually brings 0.3 new customers through word of mouth. So basically, just about for every 3 pools they install, they'll get 1 referral. That's how it statistically works. Every industry is different. There are numbers for each of them. I've mentioned there's over 24 different niches. We've got the numbers for all of them. But in the pool example, this is 30% of customers referring is a pretty realistic number. So what that does is that adds 2 more pools worth $30,000 in profit again for them, which totals $120,000 from a single activation campaign. A single one. We only did this once, but look at the profit they're generating. $120,000. Now, these are from leads they already had. They were just sitting there. There was no ad spend. There was no staff or increased staff, no more salespeople, no extra work. And the reality is, pool builders actually run these activations twice per year. They run it usually before the summer kicks in, and then they run it sort of peak time in the summer when the demand is likely highest. So if we run that system twice, that's $240,000 in additional, it's actually profit, not revenue, profit. Nearly $250,000 from things they already have. They didn't do anything new. We just ran this automated system twice throughout the year. We didn't touch a single Facebook ad. We didn't take any risk whatsoever. That's the power of this machine. That's the capabilities we have at our fingertips. That's why this is so powerful and so important. This is...
yeah, I have a question, Niall.
Yep, go for it.
What is the cost? What you're saying it's the net, the additional, well, what would be the pure profit here if you look at the overall cost of the system?
So you mean after your fee?
Yeah.
Usually we charge.
All right.
Normally, in this example, it's usually about we like to charge about $1,000 a month for, so $12,000 per year, which is about 5% of the profit generated. So it's quite substantially stacked in your favor, or in the business owner's favor. But the reason we do it like this, could you charge more? Yes. But if we install a system like this, we can be doing this for a decade with them. Obviously, it will advance and progress as systems and AI develop. Sure, of course. But we're delivering such a high return on investment that they're never going to stop. Why would they stop that? Right? It's 5% of their profit. That's a fair cut. Now, one important aspect to consider here is if you were to build this, and we'll come on to this, if you were to build this yourself, this would take you so long. I can't even describe how long it would actually take you. And the reason I know that is because it took us that long, and we know exactly what we're doing, right? You'd have to learn what you're doing first, then do it. Now, the stage it gets to is that you simply, and we'll come on to this in a little bit, you simply point this system at the business. You turn on the niche specific system, and basically your work is done. There's not too much that you have to be doing there. So you can have 100 clients without actually even feeling like you've got 100 clients. Imagine what that does for you, right?
Yeah.
That turns into
This is only one client.
This is only one. Could you increase that fee? Yeah, but listen, it's low maintenance. You're making 1.2 million a year with 100 clients, so you don't have to do that much. I kind of like those numbers, and you're making it year after year after year because they don't cancel, because it's 5%. That's it. Vince was saying in the chat there, if you're watching the recording after the fact, and just for everybody, the recording will be available for 24 hours. Maybe I'll extend it slightly longer because of Thanksgiving, but he's saying if you can't see it, if you're watching the recording, it'd be wise to have an AI to build out an ROI calculator for pitch purposes. Well, we actually have every single niche covered for the ROI, every single one, and their unique examples. So it will actually be all covered for you. You don't have to worry about that. So they pay 5% of the profit you generate for them in this scenario for the entire year. And that's the power of what we are working with here. Imagine having the ability to go into dozens over 24 niches with this system, with all the numbers that you need. The system's completely customized to each niche. Every niche is different, but all you have to do is press the switch on the system for that niche. That expands your market like never before. That gives you unstoppable capabilities. And obviously, the level of return with a system like this is incredible. But the question is, what does it actually take to reach that level? You know, these returns are massive. Can you just build something quick and go? Let me show you what a system like that actually looks like, because it can't just be, to deliver to that level, it cannot just be a few automations thrown together. To achieve the results of this level, it needs to be robust. It has to operate like a factory, like a machine. It must do it. There's no two ways about it. Like I was saying earlier, we all know the feeling. And I say we all know the feeling because we're never in control. If you've ever run Facebook ads, if you've ever tried to rank on Google or whatever, Google ads, you know the algorithm changes. You do not fully control. You can work as hard as you want, but you can wake up one day and everything's different. With Google, you see that all the time. With Facebook Meta, it happened a month ago. Like a month ago, right? With Andromeda. You wake up overnight and everything's different. You do not control that fully. So we all know that feeling of, you know what the client actually wants. You want to deliver it with your best intentions, but you just can't feel confident. And that subconsciously messes with you because you don't move as fast as you want to. You're not as aggressive as you want to be. This unlocks that. Why? Because the odds are stacked so heavily in your favor that you can get it all wrong and still double their money. That's reality. You can get it all wrong and still double their money, which is a ridiculous sentence. But here's an insight, and I appreciate you cannot read what's on the screen here. That is not necessarily, I couldn't fit it into the screen, right? That's just that's what it looks like. You can see all of these things here, all of them, every single one. There's over 100 different actions in this. And this is one of the automations, one component. You'll see here, one single component of the automation. This isn't the whole system. This is just one little piece of the puzzle. 100 actions, right? And that's for one. This is the pill builder automation, or one of them. This is the database reactivation one, right? We're not talking about all the other ones. We're not talking about an AI employee. We're not talking about the reviews or referrals or the follow. None of that. This is just a reactivation campaign, 100 different actions. So when I say we build infrastructure like a 135-year legacy business, I truly mean it. I couldn't even fit, this is at 20% zoom. This is the maximum it zooms out as well. I couldn't fit it onto the screen. It does look like an Emma. Vince is saying in the chat again, if you can't see it, it looks like an MLM organization chart, and you tell two friends and they tell, yeah, exactly. It does look like that, but it's that level of depth, right? This is so in depth, it's ridiculous. Now, I don't expect you to read anything. I just wanted to show you the depth of everything. Now, one single automation like this contains well over 100 actions that need to be thought through. Every single one. Every piece of this needs to be thought about. Every single one. For example, when a customer is interested in an offer, but they haven't followed through, what type of message do we send them? Do we provide a special offer? Do we add some urgency to buy? What happens if a lead is interested? Do they actually book in? Do they book into the calendar, or do they disappear? How does the business know? How do we tell them? If the customer isn't engaging, what type of offer do we send to get them interested? Every single piece of this whole thing, you must think through. This is why I say it is built with that level of like a factory level infrastructure. It is huge. It's so in depth. An automation like this thinks of every single eventuality that a prospect could have, and then it tackles it. every email. Sharifa, yep, go for it.
Yes, how you doing now? Listen, I just have a question. I'm sure I'm probably not the only one wondering this. 100 plus actions just for the database reactivation, correct?
Yep, that's
My
correct.
question is, and I'm sure you're probably going to get to this, but my brain is screaming right now. How long is it going to take to learn these actions, and then at what rate is it going to take us from the time frame you have a client to the time of delivery to actually know what to just like you gave the blueprint for the pool guys? I guess my concern will be what kind of learn up time ramp up before we actually know how to implement this for the various niches.
Well, it's all pre-built.
Okay,
All,
so if we have a client that's in med spa
yep,
or whatever the case is, you're saying we have a template that's already pre-built so we know what to actually activate.
yep. You just point the
Okay,
system.
great. So from the point when you deliver this to us, we finish this out, how long does it actually take? So we have a client, they're a roofer.
Hmm.
Is it just as simple as following the template for the roofer? So in actuality, minutes wise or hour, how long does it take to put it together? Because this is where I'm going with this. Obviously, I am not a person that is like, I completely get the sales process, period.
Hmm.
But as far as the implementation, the tools, the system itself, do I have to build something, or is it's already put together?
It's already put together.
Okay, that's the purpose of the template. Okay, got it.
All you have
Appreciate you.
is ask them if, for example, they want to run 10% off on a certain their existing customers. All of the messaging, everything pre-built, every bit of it. That is, if you don't choose, we currently have 26 different niches. If you choose out with the 26, and there's a reason for 26, they're the top performing niches. So I'd recommend, make your life easy, choose one of them. But as long as you don't choose out with the 26, you don't have to do anything basically. You just have to say, look, I will, what percentage do they want to run? 20%. Okay, you just change the number in the discount automation, and that's it. All the copy, everything is done. The business name, you just set them up and go high level. That's it. Set them up on that as in for their business name and their phone number and their name, and it pre-populates everything for them. All you do is point the system at it. That's it. That's the beauty.
Okay. Okay, so maybe 5-10 minutes to actually connect everything.
Yeah, honestly, it's. I mean, Vince is saying in the chat it does take some degree of iteration. Honestly, not really, not really. It's when I say we've built it, this isn't, and they're all saying there it means there's a SaaS solution slash system. It's actually no, it's actually been custom built for every niche individually. So it's not as if it's a one size fits all. It's every niche individually has been studied, taken care of.
Right,
The
right.
works. It's
Like the example you gave for the pool
yeah,
companies.
that's yeah, exactly. Those numbers make sense to pool builders, right? And they're not like, and I'm talking like even from the lead generation component. What do you say to a pool builder? How do you position it on a sales call? What numbers do you use? All of that is
So
done.
basically, you're providing us with a blueprint to be able to do that quickly, and we got to know that before you're prospecting that particular client, right?
Say that.
Like what system they're going to need.
Yeah, basically because you're delivering all of those systems at once, right? You're delivering like a package to them and installing into their business. The whole thing works. The whole thing comes
Got it.
together because that's what
Okay.
deliver the results. Yeah, it's
Okay.
and Ben saying yes, it's an automation, not really a template to follow. Yeah, that's correct. It's an automation. It's automation. This is not like education. It's not learn how to do this. It is this.
No, I totally understand. The template, I guess, verbiage is just basically there's already a
Yeah.
system like that pre-built for that particular industry, but
Exactly.
it's all automated. Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you.
No worries. No worries. Let me
Now,
just check. Wade, yep.
now you've gotten confused, brother. It's Thanksgiving, not Christmas.
Oh, so is that damn Scottish side of me? You know, we don't understand our language.
Oh, you say as confused as you want. You're doing fine.
All right, all right. So let me see where I was there. So yes, so every single aspect, right? You think, okay, you've got to create the email, you got to create the text message, and I appreciate you can't see this because it was honestly, it's like this is 20% Zoom, but these are all text messages and etc. and triggers and workflows. Every email is pre-written. Every text message pre-written. You don't have to fill it out. So think about all the different niches out there. Having all those systems already there, all the emails there. If the customer wants to do 20% off instead of 15%, you just change that number. That's it. That's all you have to do. So an automation like this thinks of every single eventuality that prospects could have, and then it tackles it. Every email, text that needs written, it needs to hit the prospect at the right time as well. So you got to, if you were to build this, you got to think through that too. You got to think, is that the right time? What timing delays do I do? How does it? No, you don't think of any of that anymore. Then the reviews automation kicks in on top of, so as I said, this is one. The reviews automation kicks in on top. Then the referral automation kicks in on top. And then, of course, the AI employee, completely trained on their business, kicks in. This depth is why it delivers. If you think logically, I always like to give you a reason why. I don't like to just tell you this system delivers. I like to tell you this system delivers for this particular logical reason. And it's because of the depth of this process. Let me just check the chat here. Yeah, that's right, James. Yep. And Bernard is saying it's based plug and play and saying, yep, that's right, Bernard. So this is why it delivers to that level. This is why we can say, when we show you the numbers, this is why it hits that level, because it's not this hash bash automation that's thrown together. It is like, that is one of them, the whole thing. That is one of them. If you have a quick automation, it won't work. This is the factory. When I talk about legacy businesses, this is what I'm talking about. Then you're going to think of AI employees, right? Do you know how much training a knowledge base for a business actually takes to deliver the results? Again, not just to setting up and delivering results are very different things. Do you know how much time it takes to set one up that delivers the results? It's intense. But again, this is why it works. This is why nobody can compete with us. And again, this is an example, right? You can't see it because again, the screenshotting, these things are so big that I can't actually show the full thing. One knowledge base is about 50 to 70,000 words. Think about that. If you were to build that, when I was back in university, you had to write dissertations that were 10,000 words or so. That's like 7 of them, right? That took me a long time. I mean, months to write one. And I was terrible, for the record. But anyway, the point is, it's so heavy duty to do this. And that's one particular niche, right? Because you have to have them completely custom. A knowledge base covers every question imaginable. They're trained on 50 to 70,000 words, all completely custom to that niche. And I mean, it has to be, because imagine you had just an AI employee sitting there and you installed it and all of a sudden it malfunctions and you're calling a gym, but it's a chiropractic AI employee that answers the phone. That's not going to look too good, right? That wouldn't quite cut it. So every niche has to be built differently. It can't be confused. It can't be crossed. It has to be very clear. And every single one has to have the same level of effort. But imagine being able to operate in both of these markets, gyms, chiros, med spas, anything, even car dealerships, because you have custom knowledge bases to that depth, to this 50 to 70,000 word depth, all built out at your fingertips. Imagine having the power, not too much. John, I will do, I'm afraid I'm going to have to, John's asking, will I share the 26 niches? I'm afraid I don't have the list in front of me, but I'll be sharing them tomorrow with you. And Ben's asking, does it not also need to be trained on each business? To some extent, it's more so like their opening hours, things like that, the very custom questions. But that's a very simple thing to do. That's like one element of it. Whereas the bulk of the work, the actual knowledge base of a gym or the actual knowledge base of a chiropractic practice, where they've got to know about treatments, they've got to know about pain thresholds, things like that, insurance purposes in the US, that's the bulk of the work. Tweaking it to one particular business is extremely, that's the easiest thing, right? You just put their opening hours in, you put their location, their address, the business name, if they're running a special offer, but the bulk of it, all the heavy lifting is done. That's the difference. If you were to just train one on a particular business, that's what most people do. It doesn't come out too well because it's like a generic template. Whereas what we're doing is we're saying all these different niches, all the background information, the industry insights they must have, they're pre-built. So now instead of having a generic average AI employee, you have one that is trained completely on the entire industry, which you can just teach about the offer a business runs and the location, their address, phone number, opening hours. It's basically all you really need to add. That's it. And maybe if they, they run specials on a Tuesday or something like that. That's it. So imagine being able to operate in both of these markets because you have a custom knowledge base to that depth built out at your fingertips. And imagine having the power to actually deliver that level of outcome. Before you, someone got, and Ben's asking here, can it use inbound and outbound AI voice calls? I need to double check on that one. I believe, well, you can customize it to both, but I'll have to double check if the exact knowledge base that we have is catered. It would be catered for it. I just need to know the functionality that is required to duplicate it. That's all. So I can double check that for you. So before you, the business has an extremely weak system trying to handle everything themselves. They've got slow responses, zero follow-up, missed revenue, no system, no nurturing, no structure, no clarity. After you, they have a system where every single lead they have has their customer lifetime value maximized. They're making more money. Every customer that comes in is nurtured based on consumer psychology. That's very, very important, right? This makes a huge difference. Just in the language and emails that we've written before. If you've ever used our emails for lead generation, you'll notice the consumer psychology patterns in them, where we'll say, we can fix this. That's a psychological frame. Why? Because we only fix things that are broken. If I say to someone, your system is broken, they take it as an attack, right? It's personal to them. You don't want to say that. They get defensive. The doors close. However, I can say we can fix this, which lets them assume. It leads them to the path of something that must be broken if we have to fix it, which is a much more open way of saying it, right? The doors stay open. So as we use consumer psychology, things start to happen. They're making more money. Every customer that comes in is nurtured. Their local visibility increases. More customers come in because they have glowing reviews. Their customer base skyrockets because their customers are constantly referring other customers. They don't have to rely on their receptionist to convert every customer. The AI does it for them 24/7. They make more money without changing their behavior. It's automated, it's powerful, it's in-depth, and honestly, it's unbeatable. You become an essential part of the process. You're paid every single month. This is your impact. You make them money. And just before I go to the next slide, I'll just read the chat here. How about the UK and US markets? We use the same language with different words. Fortunately, David, having lived in both markets, I'm pretty attuned to that. I know exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, so the work, so everything we've written, it has been checked for both markets, because obviously I'm from the UK, and then I've lived in North America, or I lived in North America for quite some time. So I know the differences between the markets, and I make sure that the language we use can sit in between without using things that wouldn't make sense in the UK market. Like for pool builders, right? It's a different scenario in the UK entirely. And yeah, Ben's just joking about that. But so to get to the next slide here, one automation doesn't increase revenue, but 80 of them all running together creates compounding revenue that skyrockets. And before that number confuses anyone, these are pre-built 80 automations. You just like I was telling Sharifa earlier, you just point the system at the niche for that customer. That's it. And 80 different automations kick in, right? This is where it compounds. The difference is you operate to this level without having to do it all yourself. This is like having the production line within the factory and just being able to open the doors. And one day you'll open the doors, and just like yesterday's session where Mr. Tunnock had his Rolls Royce sitting outside the door, maybe you'll have that too if you like a Rolls. Now, if you think back to yesterday, I mentioned how powerful it is to take these systems and expand your market, right? Generating leads automatically in over 24 different niches. But here's the problem. You saw the email in the automation when I mentioned that all the emails are different, every text message is different. It needs to change every single time. So you need to build automations completely custom with hundreds of different actions, hundreds of different messaging angles, making sure that you get them all correct with the right offers. That would take you forever. And as I said earlier, I can tell you that confidently because it took me forever to do it. The good news is you don't have to do any of it. And I wanted to add that in just to clarify, because I know it can seem intimidating with all these numbers, the extent of the depth of the work, but don't worry about a thing. But this is what it takes, right? This is the level of the legacy businesses. You replicate their entire model. In-demand offers that solve problems businesses already have. But imagine having the confidence to actually deliver the result. Imagine being able to turn that email system on, the automations, and send 10,000 emails a month across 10 different niches, knowing that when that customer and client comes in, all you have to do is switch that specific niche's system on. It's already ready, right? You don't have to create it. Go to gyms, chiropractors, car dealerships, plumbers, roofers, electricians, the works, real estate, whatever. It's already there. And it's not some one size fits all. No, it's completely custom to that niche. It has been studied, the pain points, the industry averages, what they deal with, the customer flow. All of this has been taken care of. Reviews, AI employee knowledge bases, database, reactivation, referral systems. You just point it at the target and deliver to that level, the level of a legacy business. This is your factory. This is your machine. This is what separates you from the competition. And it's why nobody can compete or touch you. They can't come close. Because for them, they would have to build it all themselves. They'd have to take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. And I say that painstakingly. Hopefully you can hear that. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to actually create to this level. That's what separates you. That's what makes the difference. You deliver to a higher standard. You deliver faster. You deliver across different niches. You deliver results like nobody else can because your factory is the machine. Except you don't need to have hundreds of team members or rent factories. you can operate like a legacy business with refined systems instantly. Zeke, do you have a question?
Hi, Niall, Sarah.
Um,
Hiya. I just wanted to ask, does this work for like one-man band businesses, or is this mainly for larger companies that have like, a lot of stuff going on?
I would say this works for one man to maybe like 10, 20 million a year. Like that sort of zero to that much. That's like your perfect kind of boundary. Somewhere in between there is nice. So not, I would actually say I would go for the huge businesses. I would go for solopreneurs. I would go for people who have maybe 2, 3, 4 people. Offices maybe up to 10 people. Like that nice number is usually quite good.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. And Daryl's asking, is the AI employee AI chip or AI agent? It is a little bit of both, actually. It's a little bit of both. And it is using part of the functions of Go High Level, yes. And is it for local businesses? The niches that we're working with, at least this week, are local business niches because that's what everybody wanted. And we will be looking into going towards the online market as well as an option. I've got a lot of experience, as you probably can imagine, in that space. And we've got a lot of products and services that deal with that. But this particular one, this exact what I'm talking about here, is designed specifically for, well, you know what? I would tell you, I like to make a distinction. If the business is online and it uses sales calls, this works. That's the distinction, right? Online, offline doesn't really matter. If they have leads, if they have sales calls, it works. That's what I would do. Sarah?
No,
You got another question? No. Okay.
no.
No. Okay. No worries. Wait.
Yes, sir. The question I have is, do we have to wait till tomorrow?
Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Forget about me.
I would enjoy it if I had this today. I'd be very thankful.
Unfortunately, I will be delivering it tomorrow.
You're very cruel,
But
Mr.
tomorrow, I'm actually going to be showing you how these systems, and this is why I'm delivering it tomorrow, because I'm going to be showing you how these systems don't just help one business, but they help you take over entire markets. Basically, how we can actually leverage the lead generation component to have a machine that just constantly gets you new clients. Like that's the purpose of it, right? So it's going to all come together tomorrow. And tomorrow's the first time you're going to see the plan for capturing 3 to 5 niches at the one time, maybe even 24 of them if you want to. It doesn't make any difference. And honestly, when I say this, I mean this sincerely. Tomorrow might just be the day that transforms your entire business, the whole thing. You might just never look at things the same again. And that's going to happen tomorrow. But that wraps us up today for the workshop. Hopefully that got you pumped up. Hopefully you got excited and saw the potential and opportunity that we're working with here, the level that we're delivering to. And tomorrow, I say it very, very sincerely, might just change everything. It's going to change your perspective. It's going to show you how we can operate at this level so much faster than anybody else. But I'm going to close this up on that one. Is there any questions anybody wanted to ask before we wrap up? Bernard, go for it.
Quick question. You mentioned car dealership, and I've been in car dealership for a long time. Do you have that in the knee?
Yes.
Nice. Is it on sales
Yep.
department only, or is the whole dealership like sales, parts, and service? Because I've been in service department.
It's for sales. It's for sales, but
Okay.
you could quite easily cater to. You could quite easily adjust it if you wanted to service as well.
Nice. And is it all text based or there's voice AI?
The AI employees are also voice AI, but with
Okay.
AI employees, we give you the flexibility because turning an AI employee on when it comes to voice is actually really easy. The knowledge base is the hard part. So we're doing all
Mhm.
the hard part. So you can make it voice, you can make it text, you can make it both, whatever you please.
Nice. And so you mentioned for the 4 different agents. So is that going to be 4 different phone numbers that we have to go through A2P in the US
No,
if it's
no,
text?
no. It's one machine.
So it's all 4 agents in one, and they'll work all together at the same
Agent
time. Like,
and automations. So don't confuse the two of them together. You get agents and you get automations. They combine together.
so they will work together then.
Yeah, basically they feed each other. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's why when you said it took you guys a long time to build, that's a lot of building then
Oh
if
yeah.
they'll all
Imagine for
work together in
two
one.
dozen, 26 different markets as well, right? And when I say, this, I Daryl asked the question earlier about, is it like a SaaS or something? Like it was almost like a one size fits all because that's what's in the market normally, right? So usually like one size fits all, and we have researched every single niche, everything, and it's not a case of you just have random information kicking about. No, this is every niche has been catered based on exactly what they need when they need it, their offers, their price points, what they typically do, the types of offers they run, their seasonality as well. Like tree service, right? Tree
Hmm.
service is very seasonal, very, very
Right,
seasonal. There's storms, right?
right.
That you couldn't run the same automation as a chiropractor in the same time. You couldn't do it. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't make
No,
any sense. But you can if it's completely customized. So it's like
right.
that level. So it's pretty honestly. If I do say so, if I don't say so myself, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy. If it's like all in one system and all 4 agents are, is it all is it different agents, like AI agents, or is all just one agent but it can do all 4 things at
It
the same time?
is agents and automations, a mixture of it for
A
each.
mixture.
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. Thank you.
no worries.
I can't I can't wait.
Now you're getting your seasons really screwed up, brother, because it's Turkey Day, but you're treating it like the night before Christmas. It's not fair.
Well, I don't get Turkey Day today, so I've got to wait. So if I have to wait, you have to wait too. All right. Any other questions from anybody? Can be run in 297, yes. And also, Ben, for the Black Friday deals, we can run the 50% off as well. And we give gift a mastermind with it as well. So if you are thinking of the Black Friday deals, they have 50% off and you go through us, we'll give you a mastermind too. Perfect. Any questions before we wrap up? No? All right. All right. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Hopefully, you found value, excitement, energy from that. And I will see you all, same place, same time tomorrow. All the Americans there, enjoy your day. Have a good time. Eat some good food. And I am going to go to the final work and prep of tomorrow's workshop. And I'll see you all there. See you, everybody.
Bye, brother.
See ya. See ya.
Thank you.